So I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional household. Feel me? Uh, my parents, first generation Vietnamese refugees. My pops was in the Vietnam War. He was in the South Vietnamese Army, and he fought alongside the U.S. troops and went against the Viet Cong. And when Saigon fell, they granted political asylum to all the South Vietnamese soldiers or anybody who happened to help during the war effort. You feel me? And so my family was granted political asylum, and my parents took off to the United States in the late '70s, and they settled in a neighborhood in San Diego called Linda Vista. And then in 1983, I was born in the U.S. on the 1st of March, so I'm 39 years old right now. You feel me? In the beginning, like, because my parents didn't speak no English, you feel me? Like, it was hard for them to get good, like, high-paying jobs. My mom, she worked, like, as a chef most of my life, and my pops, he worked as a landscaper, cutting grass and doing people's front and backyards and stuff like that. So money was always tight. Like, we didn't have money like that, you feel me? We was on welfare, Section 8. You know what I'm saying? All of our clothes was second hand-me-down clothes from thrift stores, and we got Payless shoes. First generation refugees, just trying to make it. It was me. Originally, it was me, my three sisters. Then my older sister, she ran away when she was 16, and I was 5. After she ran away, it was just me, my mom, my dad, my 2 sisters. I was the youngest. And my pops, he had issues from the war, right? And the way he used to deal with his issues was like by drinking and smoking weed. He was a major alcoholic. And one year, when I was about 7, 8 years old, one of my dad's army buddies from the Vietnam War had came to California from Texas. And when he came to California, my dad took him and his family in for just a little bit until they got on their feet and got their own place out here in Cali. And when my dad took him in, I called old boy my uncle. Even though he was my dad's war buddy from the Vietnam War, I called him uncle because in my culture, in the Vietnamese culture, like all of our elders, we call them uncles or aunts or brothers or sisters. You feel me? And so when my uncle came to stay with us for about a month or two, he ended up getting his own place out here in Cali. And then when he left my dad with a crack addiction. Like, when he came out here to Cali to stay with us, he put my dad on to crack. This during the '80s. You feel me? This when the whole crack cocaine epidemic was going on. And one thing I gotta say is, like, crack cocaine don't discriminate. Like, I know there's a stereotype where people be like, oh, crack cocaine, like, mainly blacks be on it. It's mainly a drug of the ghetto. Nah, it don't discriminate. You feel me? Like, even though I'm from the hood, grew up in the hood, my dad's Vietnamese. He got swept up in that crack cocaine epidemic as well. And one thing I know about my pops is, like, whenever he do anything, like, when he go hard, he go hard. When he drink, he drink. When he smoke, he smoke. So when he started messing with that crack, when he started poofing on that stuff, he went all out with it. All gas, no brakes. He wasn't no recreational user, you feel me? He was an addict. All the money, little money that he made, every little dime that he had, went to the dope man, you feel me? And that's a whole nother story. But what I'm trying to get at is, shit got crazy. My parents, they didn't have like money like that, so they was always fighting over money. And then let my dad's crack addiction and alcohol addiction kick in, as well as my mom's gambling problem. Couple all that with the fact that they don't speak English and they can't work good jobs, and we just barely getting by. So the lack of money caused a lot of fighting, and my parents was always fighting. Mostly my dad was always beating on my mom's, and it was always over money. You feel me? And then it came to a point where, like, because I was a mama's boy, my mom, she basically like became numb to my dad's beatings. Like every time he beat on her, after a while, she just like, man, you've been doing this shit for so long, you can't invade me no more. You know what I mean? I'm just numb to it all, bruised and battered and crying and bloody, but still numb to it all. Feel me? My mom just became a shell of a person, and so my dad usually used to beat on her over money, like thinking she was holding out on some money from him, money that he wanted and needed to go support his crack addiction. And so my mom, she always kept some money to herself to make sure the kids was right, make sure the bills was right, make sure we had food, whatever, right? But my pops, he wanted a hungry, hungry hippo that shit and just gobble up all the money to go serve his crack addiction. And so when my mom, like, basically became numb to his beatings and wasn't giving him no money that he wanted, what he started doing was just beating on me, you feel me, out of nowhere. Knowing damn well, because I was the mama's boy, that by beating on me, he'll fuck my mom up, you know what I'm saying? And he'll maybe get her to budge and give up the money. And a lot of time it worked, you feel me? But it was traumatizing as a kid to be like chilling, ain't did nothing wrong, just a kid, just trying to enjoy life. And out of nowhere, my dad just running up on me and just smashing on me, just beating my ass, snatching me up, fucking me up, making a, you know what I'm saying, an example out of me so that my mom would see that he would beat the shit out of me until she gives him some money, you know what I'm saying, to go support his crack addiction. And as a kid, like, that shit used to really fuck my head up. Like, like as a kid, like, if you did something wrong and you get beat for it, then it's understandable. Like, yeah, I fucked up. I had that coming. But when you ain't did nothing wrong and you get beat up, it's a completely different dynamic. You feel me? It's traumatizing because you don't even know what you did wrong. You didn't do nothing wrong. And so I walked around eggshells around my father. And I was constantly living in like a constant state of fear of him. Like I was definitely afraid of the dude. Afraid of his beatings. Just all around scared of him. He raised his voice. Not even to me. He could be raising his voice to somebody else. It'll scare the shit out of me. I remember one time when he was in the living room, he used to bet on football, on the NFL. And I was in my room. And from my room, I could hear him screaming in the living room. And the reason why he was screaming was because he was cheering for his team that he had money on. But I didn't know. I was just a kid. And I would hear him screaming, and I thought that he was mad, that he was tripping. And I was so deathly, like when I say deathly, I'm talking about deathly afraid of him. I was so deathly afraid of him that when he would be in the living room cheering for his team that he had betted on in the NFL, screaming, cheering, I used to pee on myself because I thought that he was in the living room tripping on one of his psycho modes, you know what I'm saying? And so I thought that he was just gonna try to hurt me or my sisters or my mom. And I used to be so scared that I used to pee on myself. And I remember it came to a point where I was so scared of him that I would just lock myself in my room. And I wouldn't come out my room until I would know that he wasn't home. And the way I would know he wasn't home was because I like his car, he had a yellow Toyota truck, and every time he pressed the brake on his truck, the brakes would squeak. So every time he left the house and he would hit the brakes, I would hear him leaving. So I know he was leaving. So I'd be in my room with my ears tuned to the sound of his brakes. Once I hear them squeaks at the brakes, I knew, oh, he's leaving. And once I knew he was gone, I would come out of my room. I used to run around. I used to watch cartoons. Maybe hang out with my sisters. I used to go use the restroom. I used to eat, drink water, whatever. And the whole time I'd be running around playing in the house, I always kept my ears tuned to the sound of his car or his truck returning. And the way I would know his truck was returning was because I could hear the squeaks of his brakes. And you know, like as human beings, we adapt. Like we develop these senses and these skills, these survivor skills, to keep us alive. And I was so in tune with my dad's brakes on his truck that when I ended up running away at the age of 10, Like, because of the abuse, because of the neglect, because of the terror that I lived in, because I didn't want to just be around a dad that was strung out on crack, that was an alcoholic, that ruled my home with an iron fist. I didn't want to deal with the abuse, whether it was directed towards me or directed towards my family members, my moms, my sisters, and them. I ran away when I was 10 years old. Like, a lot of people can't wrap their minds around that. Like, a 10-year-old kid running away, being homeless on the streets or whatever, right? But that was my reality. Like, me being homeless, me running away from home, me living out on the streets was my normal. Like, it was my reality, it was my life. And as a 10-year-old kid, it might be a lot for any kid to deal with, but for me, that was just my reality, and I just had to figure out how I was going to survive. And to be real with you, when I ran away at the age of 10, I never felt more happier. I remember running away, and I remember telling myself, like, out there in the streets, looking up at the sky, I remember telling myself that I would rather die in the streets than live at home with my dad. I made a promise to myself that I would die in the streets. I would always stay out in the streets no matter what, and ever live at home with my dad. So, I ran away, and as a means of survival, I ended up joining an Asian gang in my neighborhood in Linda Vista. And of course, when I joined the gang, I basically became a part of a family, a gang family. I had homeboys and homegirls who, because I was a part of the gang that they were from, who cared about me. I mattered to them. So they would give me places to stay. They would let me couch surf. They would let me sneak into their room or the house late at night and sleep. And when they couldn't let me stay over or feed me or let me use the shower or whatever, they couldn't. You know what I mean? Then I would be out in the streets. And as a 10-year-old kid, I found ways to survive, and I found shelter. I slept everywhere. I slept outside. I slept in the parks. I slept on top of apartment roofs. I slept in unlocked cars. Like, I used to walk around the neighborhood and check car doors to see if they were unlocked. If they were unlocked, I just go inside people's cars and sleep. And never get a full night's sleep because I always had my mind alert to, like, make sure that I got out the car early in the morning, 5, 6. If I was really tired, then 7 o'clock in the morning before the owners, you know what I mean, left to work or whatever. Before the owners came out to the car, I would try to leave before the owners knew I was even in their car. Slept in dope houses, crack dens. I slept in abandoned apartments, people's garages. I slept everywhere, up in trees, on the ground, outside, handball courts, tennis courts. The list goes on and on, bro. I slept everywhere, you know what I mean? And I know, like, for people hearing this, like, that's crazy, a 10-year-old kid being homeless, but for me, when I was in the moment, it wasn't crazy, it was just life, you know what I'm saying? It was survival. You're a 10-year-old runaway, you're a 10-year-old gang member. This is your reality, survive now, you know what I mean? But so what I'm trying to get at is, like, I was so in tune with my dad's car brakes that squeak. I don't give a fuck if you step on the brakes on a million cars. I would be able to differentiate the difference between my dad's brakes and a million other car brakes. I knew the sound of his brakes like the back of my hand, intuitively. Like, my senses, my survival instincts kicked up, and they perked up to the point where I could tell the difference between the brakes on my dad's truck when they squeak between any car brakes. I don't give a fuck what brakes they were. And to emphasize this point, I remember one time when I was with my homeboys gangbanging, and we was out there strapped up, rags on our face, lokes on our eyes, beanie or rag on our heads, gloves on, strapped, and we was creeping through my hood, right? We was going to war with another gang in my neighborhood. And me and two of my homeboys, we were on the street walking down the sidewalk with guns, going towards our enemies, ducking behind cars and stuff, trying to get closer and closer to our enemies so we could smoke them. And I was the one that was in the lead. Two of my homeboys were behind me, and we were creeping. And all the way down the street, I'm talking about a block, 2 blocks away, I heard my dad's truck, Toyota truck, the brake on his truck squeaking because he was coming down the street. And this was like late at night, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, right? And when I heard the brakes on my dad's truck from all the way down the street, I automatically lay down on the ground beside a parked car to hide from him. And my homeboys who were behind me, my two homeboys, they were strapped. You know what I'm saying? AK, AR-15, SKS, big shit, right? When they saw me lay down on the ground beside a parked car, they lay down too. Because I was like the creeper in the lead, so whatever I did, they followed my lead. So my two homeboys behind me, they lay down too, thinking that I lay down for maybe because I thought the police was coming. Maybe they were thinking that I thought it was safer, or we were trying to duck and hide from the enemy so we'd get a better shot at them or what. But they didn't know why I laid down, but they just followed my lead. They said, okay, the homie laid down, I'm gonna lay down too. Not knowing that the reason why I laid down was because I heard my dad's brakes down the street, and I knew that my dad was coming in our direction. And my homeboy Pee Wee Loke, when we were laying there, my dad passed by in his truck. He had a yellow Toyota truck, old school truck. He had wood that he had like bolted to the back of his truck because he worked as a landscaper. So he had like a wood, I don't know what you call it, a wood fencing type shit, so that he could like better hold his tools and branches and whatever else he be cutting up when he be doing landscaping, right? But my homie Pee Wee Loke's my road dog, one of my closest homies, like a brother to me. So he knew my story. He knew the house I came from. He knew the craziness that I lived in, and why I had ran away, and why I was part of this gang shit, right? So he knew my dad. He knew my dad's truck. So we were laying on the ground. He saw my dad's truck passing by. And I remember like it was yesterday. Like after Pops passed by, I hopped up, back in gangbang mode. Like, let's go. Let's creep up on these enemigos, right? But my homie Pee Wee Loke gave me a look like, damn, bruh. You lay down way before your dad's truck came. For however or whatever reason, you were able to know that your dad was coming. And he gave me a look like, damn, like that's deep. You feel me? But that's part of survivor mode. You feel me? It's part of like, when you're placed into that position, you had no choice but to adapt. You had no choice but to tune your ears to your enemy. And sad to say, my dad, my pops was my enemy. And whenever the enemy was in his truck, hitting his brakes, he was either leaving or coming. And I knew it. Anyways, so I ran away at the age of 10, right? Have y'all seen some of my videos on my page? Y'all would know that I got arrested for the first time when I was 8. But when I was 10, I ended up getting arrested for the second time for a Grand Theft Auto. You know what I'm saying? Y'all might have played that video game, GTA or whatever the hell that shit called. I never played it, but I seen it on magazines and shit. GTA basically means Grand Theft Auto. And so when I was a 10-year-old kid, I was on the run with my homies. And in the hood, in my hood, I had a gang of homies that were on the run. Homeboys and homegirls. So every day, the group of us that were on the run, we would hang out on the hood all day on the block, just chilling. Back then, we hung out like mostly down on Kelly Park, down on Kelly Street, at the rec, at the Linda Vista Rec Center, or behind the Boys and Girls Club in the hood. When night would fall, all of us that were on the run, we would go get our grind on. And one of the ways we would grind back then was mostly fucking with the chop shops. What we used to do is basically go steal cars, break into cars, steal car stereo systems, speakers, amps, EQs, mid-rangers, everything that had to do with car stereo system. We used to steal it and go sell it. We used to also steal whole entire cars and go sell it to the chop shops. And that's how we used to grind. That's how we used to make our money. That's how we used to put money in our pockets. That's how we used to survive. One of the ways. Feel me? And so this day in particular, I was with my homeboys down on Kelly Street, chilling all day with my OGs, my homies from my clique, the YGs and all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a second generation. But we was hanging out when night fell. About like 5 carloads of us took off from Linda Vista, and we went banging. And when we say we're going to bang, it's like we're going to bang cars. We use flathead screwdrivers. And basically with a flathead screwdriver, we could break into any car. I don't give a fuck what car you got. A Toyota to a Volkswagen to a Nissan. It don't matter. With a flathead screwdriver, we could break into your car. And so we took off, and I remember we took off to go bang cars, and we ended up in Mary Mesa. And originally, when we took off, I was with one of my OG homies named Mighty Max in his Toyota Corolla. And we ended up at some condominiums in Mary Mesa. Now, remember, like, there was 5 cars of us. So I had other homies in their cars, other homies that were in G-Rides, stolen cars, and I was with Mighty Max, my OG homie Mighty Max, right? And we ended up at some condominiums in Mary Mesa. And you know, a condominium parking lot just full of cars, you feel me? So the 5 cars rolled in there, our 5 cars rolled into this condominium parking lot. We all hopped out, and basically we were just running around the parking lot, breaking into cars, stealing systems, stealing stereo systems, getting money out cars, anything that was of value, you feel what I'm saying? So while we were in the middle of doing all this, some people came out or whatever, and every time, like, we try to keep like violence to a minimum. We try to keep from like having to go there, you know what I'm saying? Having to fuck somebody up, having to stab, shoot, kill a motherfucker over breaking into the car. So anytime a civilian or an owner of a car would come out and trip on us, we would just take off. Instead of going to the next route, which is killing the motherfucker, which we could have easily did, we didn't find that shit worth it. Like, it ain't worth it to kill a motherfucker over a car stereo, you feel me? So anytime a civilian, a homeowner, a car owner, or what we would call a superhero, like a neighbor or someone that was part of neighborhood watch that was trying to like stop us from doing what we're doing, we would just leave, bro. No need to kill motherfuckers. It's easy to kill motherfuckers, right? Like, okay, we'll just leave and go to another parking lot, another area, another rich neighborhood, break into other cars. You feel me? So we were at this condominium, someone came out tripping, and we all took off. And when we took off, I was in the parking lot on my feet, running around, and I was looking for the homie Mighty Max to jump in this car and smash out with him. And as I was looking for Mighty Max, I couldn't find him, but I saw my homeboy Batman, my homeboy Frosty, in a stolen Honda Accord. So I just hopped in the car with them. Batman was driving, Frosty was in the passenger seat. I hop in the whip with them, we smash out. It's like 2, 3 in the morning, I'm tired as fuck. So when we smash out, it wasn't too long after we smashed out that I fell asleep. I just fell asleep in the back seat of this stolen car, right? I'm 10 years old, I'm knocked out. You know, when you're a kid, you sleep good. And I was gone. I was catching some Z's. I was knocked the fuck out, right? And I remember when I was sleeping, my homeboy Frosty woke me up. He was like shaking me and shit. Like, Tiny Low, wake up. Tiny, wake up. I wake up. I remember in the car, it's pretty dark. I could see Batman, I could see Frosty. I could see that we was on a freeway, and I was like, what's up, nigga? Like, fuck you waking me up for, right? And my homie Frosty was like, Frosty, my Vietnamese homie, light-skinned Vietnamese homie. He looked like he mixed, but he's full-blood Vietnamese. Batman was Laos, right? Frosty was like, cuz, look behind us. What do you see? And you gotta, like, remember I had just woke up. So I was still like groggy. I woke up, this nigga was talking about look behind us. So I sat up and I looked behind us in this G-Ride, and all the way in the distance in the freeway I seen a cop car with flashing lights. Alright? And I'm like, damn. In my head I'm like, damn. Is that cop car for us? Are we on a high-speed chase right now? And I realized that we were, because Batman was smashing, right? And I turned around. I told my homie Frosty, I was like, man, it look like Christmas lights back there. Because that's what it looked like. The cops' lights flashing, the blue, red, white lights just flashing, right? So I told my homie Frosty, man, it look like Christmas lights back there. And Frosty and Batman started laughing. I remember my homie Batman, he was driving. He like 14 years old. Frosty about 13, 14. I was 10. Batman had his hat on forward. I remember this motherfucker pulled over, right? He pulled over. The cop car came, catch up, pulled over as well. And I remember it was a female cop. Batman was on the steering wheel, like real close to the steering wheel, looking at the rear view mirror, right? And I remember this motherfucker took his hat, turned it backwards. On something like, yeah, I'm about to get ready. I'm about to get funky with this bitch, right? It was a female cop. And I'm like, nigga, why you pulled over for? Cuz take off, man. Like, go, right? He's like, nah, I got this shit. So he over the steering wheel. He like leaning real close to the steering wheel. The female cop get out the car, start walking towards our car. As she get about towards the trunk area, my homie Batman gas. Man, he smashed on that motherfucking gas and take off. Boom! So we on a freeway, 2, 3 in the morning. Ain't no cars on the freeway like that, right? Batman chopping lanes, he smashing. Whoop! Zooming. Flying on the freeway. I look back, that cop car like that little. I'm cheering. Go, cuz, go. Go, cuz, go. Smash, cuz. Keep on going. So we leaving Mira Mesa. So we like, Linda Vista is not far from Mira Mesa. Linda Vista is about like 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? On the freeway. Right? So, excuse me. I just fucking scratched my leg. Fucking made my shit bleed. I don't know what's fuck going on. But anyways, I think Batman smashing. Whoa! Put a major distance between us and the female cop. Alright, so I'm thinking we good. I'm thinking like, the homie gassing, we gone. Easy peasy. About to get away with this one. But as we getting closer, as we like passing through Kearney Mesa, Claremont, all that to get to Linda Vista, at every exit along the freeway was cop cars. Piled up. 4, 5, 6, 7 cop cars. Parked in every exit, just waiting for us to pass. And as we pass, they pulling out. Whoop! And they getting behind us. We pass another exit, another 5 cops join the chase. Pass another exit, another 4, 5, 6, 7 cop car past the chase. I look behind us, starting to see like 15, 20, 25 cop cars. It's all lit. We high speeding it, hitting 100. Like we just going, right? And the whole time I'm still thinking we getting away with the shit. I'm like, go. Like a lot of we in the lead and they trying to catch up to us. Like we gonna win, right? That's what I'm thinking. Like back then I really thought we was untouchable. You feel me? So we get to our hood, get to Linda Vista. And the exit is Genesee. Yeah, bus right to the exit, and the exit's kind of like a curb. You feel me? Like, oh, it go like that, right? Batman hitting like 60 on the exit. The car feel like it's about to flip over. The car feel like it's lifting up on 2 wheels, like we rolling on 2 wheels. He get to the end of the exit, he busts a right. He going so fast that we lose control. We start spinning down the street. We go over the center divider. The center, like it was a sidewalk center divider, an island. We ended up on top of the island, 360 off the island. Boom! Crash. Boom. But facing forward. I remember looking at Frosty. Frosty laughed. I look at Batman. Batman grabbed his seatbelt, threw it over him. He's like, run. He opened the driver door. He booked it. He jumped out the corner. Gone. Frosty followed suit. Frosty hop out the passenger seat. Gone. I'm in the back seat. I try to open the back door. Couldn't open the motherfucker. I hop over to the other door, try to open that bitch. Couldn't open that one either. Like, why the fuck is this door? I find out later on that it had child safety locks on the back doors, right? We in the 4-door Honda. I'm in the back seat. Frosty and Batman, they already hopped out the whip and ran. All the police that was chasing us, they hop out their car and run past the G-Ride while I'm in it still and chase Batman and Frosty. They not knowing that I'm still in the car. They thinking that there was just a driver and a passenger. I'm a 10-year-old kid in the back seat. They don't even see me. Or maybe they don't see me. I don't know. But they see 2 motherfucking occupants. You know what I'm saying? They see Batman and Frosty, a driver and passenger, hop out and run. All the police that was in the chase, they hop out their shit and they chase the homies on foot. while my monkey ass is still in the car trying to unlock the back door, not knowing why the fuck this shit ain't unlocking. I'm thinking that when we did a 360 crash over the center island, it fucked the doors up for some reason, or it fucked the car up to where the back doors wasn't open. But in actuality, the doors wasn't opening because they had child safety locks. I wasn't knowing though. So all the police run past the car to go chase Batman and Frosty. I'm in the backseat of the car still trying to open the doors, not being able to open the motherfuckers. I'm a kid, so y'all gotta give me that. So in my little kid mind, I'm feeling like I'm in a car that's sinking, like I'm about to die in this bitch. I'm drowning in this motherfucker or something, right? I'm like, damn, I can't get out this car. And as I sit there in the middle of the back seat, I look in the front, I look at the driver's seat, I look at the passenger seat, both driver and passenger open. I'm like, just hop over to the front and hop out the car, bro. The fucking driver and passenger door is open. Jump out this motherfucker. So that's why I do. Or that's why I did. I hopped from the back to the front, I hopped out the passenger seat, passenger door. When I get out the car, I can see the police chasing the homies. The police got their back towards me. They don't even know I'm still at the stolen car. They gone. They done passed the car, right? I see my homie Frosty in the distance by like 40, 50 yards. He's running down Genesee Avenue. He trip and fall. Police on him. Get the fuck down. They pointing shotguns and guns and shit at him. Batman's still running with his hat on backwards. The homie got a tail, right? He running. I can see his tail flying. So it dawned on me like, damn, why are all the police back towards me? It hits me like, these motherfuckers just ran past the car. They didn't even know I was in the car. So I run around the G-Ride, and right there is my homeboy Cartoon from my hood, his grandpa's house, or his parents' house. And the fence to his backyard was right there, so I run and I hop the fence. It's a high-ass fence, though. Not no waist high. I'm talking about, like, it was higher than me. I was 10 at that time, like 4 feet something. This motherfucking fence like 8 feet high. Chain link fence. I hopped the fence into my homeboy's Cartoon's backyard. And when I did that, I guess I was making so much commotion or whatever that the police that was chasing my home with Batman and them, I guess they saw me, right? So they started coming back towards where I was at. I already made it to the backyard. I ran through my homeboy Cartoon's backyard, and there was a shack in his backyard. So I ran, I hid behind the shack. And I remember when I was behind the shack, I was thinking like, I'm good. Police busy chasing Batman and Frosty, they don't see me, that's what I'm thinking, right? Not knowing that they saw me hop the fence, right? So, I'm behind the shed, I started seeing flashlights. Like, the police are outside the fence, they shining flashlights all near the shack and shit. I'm behind the shack, like the shack's right behind me, and there's flashlights hitting the homie's house. So I stopped seeing I see the flashlights, and after a while I stopped seeing them, right? So I'm like, okay, they ain't looking for me no more. Excuse me. So I ducked my head out from behind the shack to see if the police is like still looking for me, and they were all right there at the fence with their flashlights down. I stuck my head out, they hit me with the flashlight. There you go, right there. But they still on the other side of the fence. They ain't trying to hop that motherfucker, because that motherfucker high, right? So when they spotted me, I booked it. I came out from behind the shack. I ran to the homie backyard. I hopped the fence, backyard fence, to the front yard. I'm in the neighborhood now. I'm running through the hood. I run past his front yard. And so they radio in. They radio in to other cops that was in police cars that was over in that area where I was running, right? So the police that was on the other side of the fence, they hopped the fence now. They running through the backyard that I had just came out from. I ran to the front yard. These police is on my bumper. They ran to the front yard as well. So I look back. I'm running down the street, and there's police chasing me. I don't remember how many motherfuckers there were, right? But there was a group of them. They was yelling, "Get down, get down!" I'm 10 years old. I'm running. They're like, "Get down, get down!" I'm running. A cop car comes zooming down the street, and I see it. I'm on the sidewalk. He's on the street. It's like parallel with me, like, you know what I mean, matching my speed. It takes off, whoop, and it drives into a driveway in front of me, cuts me off. When the cop car drives into a driver right in front of me, cuts me off, I turn around to run back, and there's a group of cops coming from behind. I try to book it out to the street, and there's cops everywhere, bro. The cop cut me off, they hop out their shit. Cops that's behind me, they coming in, so they zoom in on me, and they got me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I just, like, fuck. They put my hands in there, like, get down on the fucking ground. I got down, I laid down on the ground. They cuffed me up. Got me. 10 years old. Second time I ever got arrested for Grand Theft Auto. Put me in the back of a police car with my homeboy Frosty. And my homeboy Batman, he ended up getting away. You know what I'm saying? They didn't catch him. They just caught me and Frosty. So me and Frosty in the backseat of the police car. Frosty about 13, 14 years old. His first time ever getting locked up too. That I know of. They take us down to juvenile hall. And my homeboy Frosty ended up getting released to his mom. They tried to call my parents. My parents was ready, like, they weren't home. They weren't answering the phone right. So I ended up getting locked up. This is my first time I ever got locked up. I never forget it, man. They booked me in, strip searched me, gave me some juvenile hall black and white flip-flops, some juvenile hall pants, blue pants, blue shirt. Let me take a shower, gave me a bedroll. And from IBR, which is intake, booking, and releasing, that's the first, like, unit you go to when you get locked up. They sent me to Unit 1200 in San Diego Juvenile Halls. All the units are named after numbers. There's Unit 100 all the way up to 1400. You know what I'm saying? And 1200 back then was for the kids. You know what I'm saying? For young kids like me. They sent a lot of kids like my age, probably the oldest, probably like 13, 14 years old, to Unit 1200. Alright? And I'll never forget it, man. I remember they took me to 1200. I was carrying my bedroll. I was so little. I was 4 feet, 6 inches tall. I weighed about 90 pounds. Because I was out there in the streets. I wasn't eating like a normal kid should eat. I was homeless or whatever. I didn't weigh the right weight for a kid, right? But yeah, they took me to Unit 1200. I was escorted by a CO. I remember when I got to 1200, they took me to my cell. It was the first cell in A hallway, the first single cell. In each hallway, on the right side, they have like 5 or 6 single cells. In that hallway, on the left side of that hallway, they have like 5 or 6 double cells, double bunk cells. And there was 3 hallways in each unit. They put me in A hallway in the first cell, in the first single cell. And I remember the cop or the CO took me to my cell and locked me in that cell. And I was 10. And I remember walking into that cell, and they closed the door behind me, the steel door. In the back of the cell, there was like a skinny ass window the size of like a 4x4 block of wood. There was a desk in front of that window, a stool underneath the desk, and to the left was a bunk and a skinny ass mattress. I had a bedroll, 2 sheets and a blanket. I had a blue shirt on, some blue pants, socks, underwear. That was it. That's all I had in the cell. And I remember I dropped my bedroll on top of the bed. And I remember I just dropped my whole body face first onto the mattress, about a 6-inch thick mattress. And I buried my face into the mattress. Because it was my first time ever being arrested and never being locked up. And I never felt that feeling before in my life. I felt claustrophobic, like I couldn't breathe, like I was drowning. When they closed that door, I was so short that I couldn't look outside the cell door. Like the window that it had on the cell door was higher than me. And there was nothing like, there wasn't no stool or no box or nothing for me to stand on. I look out the window, so I felt like I was drowning because I couldn't look out the window. The only window I could look out was the back window of the cell, which was about like the size of a 4x4 piece of wood on a wall. You know what I'm saying? That's what it looked like. It just like had that much room. I remember looking out that window was nothing to look at. It was just a fence, barbed wire fence, and concrete ground and rocks and sand. You know what I'm saying? There was no view. And because of the lack of view outside my cell, whether it was in the front or back, I felt like claustrophobic. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I remember it was a fucked up feeling for a kid. So I remember I dropped to the mattress. I remember burying my face in the mattress. And I remember wanting to cry, but I didn't cry because I told myself, like, you gotta be strong. And I remember sucking it up and telling myself, like, this is your life. Like, this is the life that you chose. Getting locked up, being a gang member, this is all part of it. This is what you signed up for, basically. And even though that's what I signed up for, and even though, like, I knew that it was part of my occupation as a gang member, it really sucked, man. No human being, especially no 10-year-old kid, should ever have to feel the feeling of incarceration. Back then, I didn't realize that by me being incarcerated, it was going to do something to me. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I didn't know. But the effects of my incarceration was starting right then and there, the very second I stepped into that cell. And so I ended up doing about a week in juvenile halls. And then I'm going to go to court and get released to my mom, and then getting put on probation. But because I made that promise to myself that I would rather die in the streets than ever live at home with my pops, my crackhead, alcoholic, and abusive father, I ran away from home again immediately. Started scouting for my probation officer, went back on the run, and went back to living the life that I lived, you know what I'm saying? Choosing to rather die in the streets than die at home with my father. And of course, that life led to me getting incarcerated again, getting locked up again for other stuff. But that's a story that I will share with y'all in another video. I thank y'all for tapping in. I thank y'all for watching my video. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. I promise you it gets greater later as I share more and more of my life story. Hey.